The July 11th, 2024 meeting of the Hurley Zoning Board of Appeals. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
Sure. I make the motion.
Nicholas and Beach. Second by Karen. All present in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. All present are in favor. Therefore, none are unless are opposed. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. At this time, where we have a public comment section where any members of the public are allowed to make a 2-minute or less comment regarding anything on the agenda. However, tonight we do have 2 public hearings scheduled. You are here, in fact, to speak during those public hearings regarding the applications before us. That would be technically your time to make a comment, not during the public comment section. So, with that said, are there any members of the public present here tonight that wish to make a public comment regarding anything on the agenda?
I'm here to talk about the trailer park.
We will be having a public hearing on that this evening, so that would technically give you guys time to speak to that matter.
I'll wait for you.
Excellent. It essentially would just be you reiterating the same information twice over, but the public hearing is that's time to record your comments. So, that being said, is anybody else present here to speak on something that is not scheduled for a public hearing this evening? Going once, going twice. I would like to make a motion that we open and close the public comment section of the meeting this evening. Seconded by Alex. Any discussion on that one? None. All present in favor, show of hands or verbal aye. Aye. All present are in favor of opening and closing public comment section. Okay, so we will move right into, let's see, we have our first public hearing scheduled for 7:15, so we've got a little bit of time to kill, so we can do minutes, yeah, because we have 2 months of minutes to approve. It's an accident on the chair in this part, forgetting to approve minutes of previous meeting. So, has everybody had a chance to review the May minutes? Is there any discussions, omissions, errors that anybody saw based on May 2024 meeting minutes? Yes. Okay. I did have, and forgive me, Secretary, because I was short on time that evening. There was again just a couple of minor just adjustments that I had. Maybe I'll just slide this over to you because it's just saying that all present are in favor on each of the motions, as opposed to just the first and the second. Just basically how I'd like it to be stated. So what I asked her for the May minutes was that the first couple of paragraphs stated the motion made, person who made it, and the second who made it. Then there was all present in favor approved. Sometimes we will take a roll call vote, but in both of the cases of my changes, everybody here was in favor of approving the motion. So with that stated, is there any discussion of the May 2024 meeting minutes. Then I motion that we approve the May 2024 meeting minutes. ZBA. With the adjustments of the stating that all members present were in favor of the motions.
I'll second that motion.
All present in favor, verbal aye or show of hands, all present are in favor, therefore are opposed. Of course, each of absenting members. Or after. Moving right along to the June 2024 minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review those? How did everybody receive them? Have a chance to. You did not receive the minutes? Well, you were present.
Right.
That's meeting, right? I've been told you can approve minutes as long as you agree with the board. However, if you disapprove or abstain from voting on the minutes, then that would mean we do not have a quorum. And we will and certainly approve them as next vote. It's a 7-person. So we need a 4 quorum. And this is still something that I believe the town board is kind of hashing out. So that it states in our zoning code law that we're a 7-member board. But then for some reason, there's something in there about having 5 years. But it's but then a lot of things. So we have, in this chairman's opinion, we've always operated as 7-year or 7-member board and always operated under having a quorum of 4. There's a little bit of discussion about this a couple of years ago, but things need to change. Hopefully that is transpiring. But we've never done anything to remember. So, not in my side. I'm not changing it because. Well, that seems, I think that's New York State standard.
Yeah.
We are somehow grandfathered. And it's in our, it's in our local, it's in our code. So. Not to digress, but was there any errors, edits, missions that anybody found in the June 2024 minutes? I did make some minor changes, but it was merely just to rough wording, basically. It was like, it's available on Drive, everybody can see, but it was very basic changes as to the board as opposed to the edit and accept application, I believe, as opposed to they had added accept the application and move to public hearing.
Schedule.
Yeah, you have them in front of you right now.
Yeah.
So I could almost tell you exactly what it is. It was, you know.
Yeah, I have it right now. But I have it right now.
Okay. Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was my first time really doing it digitally. I wasn't sure it was safe.
Yeah.
This is fantastic test.
It's in pink.
Was it pink? I thought it was peach.
Alex thought it was fun.
Okay, well, I would motion that we approve the June 2024 minutes. Second by Alex. All in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. Well, yeah, I apologize. Let me amend my motion, including the edits as stated. Second by Alex, all in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. All present are in favor, therefore not opposed. And it's approved for both May and June. That's I believe. Well, if there are any members of the public present that Start. Sorry. Have to wait till the schedule.
Noticed it for 7:15.
7:15.
Okay.
So if,
Did you not say 7:15 or 7:11?
on my agenda, I have 7:15 for this specific public hearing.
Yeah.
I think there was an update to it.
Well, let's see, is there anything else that we can jump in? I can move down to the bottom of the agenda and state that there is no ZTF report or update on that. We did not meet for the June meeting. Correspondences.
We have 3 letters that we received.
Regarding, the public hearing
Yeah,
schedule
the public
for,
hearing schedule. And then just another thing is on here that I wanted to just say to everyone is that I have, a training link that is just provided by New York State zoning training that just covers essentially all the basics, for zoning, which just goes through the entire zoning process. It's gives you 1.5 hours. You guys are required to do 4 hours of training. It's a quick test. At the end, you can have a certification and it counts for 6 hours, but I think that it's applicable to especially when you are the board members, it's just basic information regarding zoning laws of New York State.
okay, did you have that on the
Yeah, the
minutes or
bottom.
was that? It was, okay.
And I'll make sure to send everyone out an email also about that, just you. It's like self-paced, free. I could also, if you need to print out a copy of it. And you, I can help you type in and send answers.
And it is almost at the last. Okay, so time is now 7:15. I motion that we open the public hearing for the Kaufman application, which is regarding the pre-existing non-conforming lot that looks to add 5 additional trailers to the property located at 75 Horseland Lane. Under pronunciation. Horseland Lane. Yeah. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
All present in favor, verbal aye, or show of hands. All present are in favor, none opposed. The public hearing on this matter is now open. As the applicant, I'd like to give you a chance to speak first, just to address anybody that is here in public, just to state what you're looking for, reasoning, so on and so forth. I know you addressed the board previously, but now's the time to reiterate that.
So, I just do it sitting here.
You can just use the microphone.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Just
If you need me to.
project your voice.
There you go. So my name is Rob Kaufman. I represent Outlaw Property, which manages LND mobile home park on Wamsley Place. We purchased that park about almost a year and a half, on July of last year. My brother and I started decided after COVID that we would invest in mobile home parks in this area. We grew up in Putnam County. My brother lives in Charlotte. And we decided, he has experience in affordable housing. Always wanted to do it. northeast, or west, I should say, because he did it in German. And after COVID, I said I would join him, and he said, all right, well, let's do it. What do you know? So I'm here, trying to figure things out. And there are many mobile home parks in the south and Carolinas, but the regulations there are much more lax than in the northeast. Certainly in New York, stabilization and actually regulations, it's a bit more challenging. So we decided to look up here because that's where we're from, and I know this area. And we felt that the higher regulation was actually a good thing because it's less competition. North Carolina, if a mobile home goes for sale, we have 20 hedge funds looking to buy it that day. Up here, well, we're selling the parks, want the owners, they own the parks for 50 years. They want not just an investor, but someone that's going to add and enhance the park, add value, take care of their tenants that they've known for 50 years. And that's kind of how we found L&D Park. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but give you a little background about where we're at. So up here, since you can't raise rents and do things that you can in other states, we look for opportunities like what we have down a big L&D, where there's a small area in the back that doesn't encroach on neighbors. Well, I guess that's not really, but seems to be environmental friendly. The park sits on 22 acres. Well, the parcel is 22 acres. The park sits on about 2.5 of those acres, which leaves 17 acres of non-developed land. Most of it isn't developable, but there's a small area in the back that we felt that we might be able to add 5 units, mobile homes. You know, it's we're not doing a multi-family building. We're just adding 5 additional mobile homes to the park that already has 23 mobile homes. And that's what the application is for. It's just to add 5 units. We have the well system there already in place that they'd be able to tap into. The 5 homes would create any traffic issues and environmental issues. We had conversations with various areas of town. So anyway, that's sort of what we're at. That's what the application is for. So,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I believe you were here to speak on.
Yes, so my property, the
Can
back
you
of
just,
my,
you signed in, correct?
I gave it to your record.
How do you spell your last name?
C as in Tom, H-I-E-R-G-A-R.
Okay.
Sorry. You got it.
Sorry, I'm gonna look at it later.
It's on the side.
Now is your time to speak.
So the back of my property abuts the mobile home park. We share a large wetland between the 2 properties. So our first concern is just protection of that wetland and the water that would affect our property. The second concern is traffic on 28A is just unbelievable. We moved here 23 years ago. It used to be a rural road, and we deal with traffic constantly from more cars and from commercial vehicles, construction vehicles. Now there are buses coming from the DEP, about 10 a day in front of my house. And I think 5 more mobile homes with 8 to 12 to 15 more cars on 28A and turning onto that road is, we can't handle it anymore. And I think the bigger problem is that we have to talk about how much traffic is on 28 and how that's affecting Hurley residents. But to add 5 more mobile homes on a small plot of land with that much more traffic just seems irresponsible to us at this point. That's what I'm.
Excellent. Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any written
No,
commentary for this? Is there anybody else present here this evening that wishes to speak on the matter before us during this public hearing?
I didn't say anything about septic. but that seems obvious.
Certainly. All criteria that needs to be taken into.
And that wetland is in DEP regulated wetland.
Do we have a map that states any wetland in?
I'm not.
Perhaps Paul?
I have a map of those considerations, including wetlands, will be addressed with engineering.
Yeah. Is there any members of the public or members of the board that have any questions for the applicant at this time?
Yeah. Do you have any idea how much traffic at 5 mobile home would necessitate?
Yeah, I mean, I think what David,
Might be still looking at.
I think what David said, it makes sense. 5 homes, I would say 1 to 2 cars per home. Makes sense. That's fairly typical for a mobile home park. So.
Sometimes 3.
It could be 3, although I don't see that. Typically, we regulate in our lease that you're allowed up to 2 and there's speeds and after that, but yeah, I suppose if they're up to 15 cars.
Is that consistent with the rest of the homes area?
Most of the homes are 1 to 2. Yeah, I would say that's 1 to 2 cars, but I would say that's typical. 1 would be minimum for a household. 2 is probably the average.
I have a question. The whole property is 22.2 acres, but that's part of it's across the street. No, is it?
There's actually an additional 10 acres across the street. I don't think that's listed in this parcel.
Okay,
So it's a total of 32 acres.
okay. So I drove up and I, looked at so the trailers are on, did you say 2.3
I
acres?
want to
about?
say 2.5 acres, is the trailers, the other.
And you want to put it up where sort of the dumpster is, where those cones are?
Exactly where the dumpster is.
Okay, how big is that area that you would like to develop and put the 5 trailers on? Do you have a
Yeah, I mean, I sent in the survey, I have everything here.
If you want me, I can follow her.
Yeah, I don't want to make up numbers, for you,
Right.
but we had the engineer, for a mobile home, we need a certain buffer around each home.
okay,
So we, yeah, there you go.
yeah, so it's in the back there where the dumpster is and those 2 cones are.
Yeah,
There's a pine tree there and some
exactly.
kind of tree. Okay, so that's where you wanted to put that.
It is. Do you have the other map? That might be helpful.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah, wasn't there one that had all
yeah, I saw that, yeah.
the homes all lined
I just
up?
wanted to make sure that was the,
Because I did a Google Maps that.
This one?
there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Okay.
So the majority, a lot of the acreage that exists is actually on the other side of the road, correct?
It's not on the other side of the road, although some of it is.
What composes the 22.2 acres? Is it entirely that square right there?
No, it's both sides of the road.
Both sides.
One lot though.
What's the size of the lot that actually makes trailer?
Sorry.
Out of that 22, what's the size of the lot that actually has the mobile home park on it?
I believe it's 2.5 acres. It's
Actually, you put down 10.7 on the application, the building permit application.
10.7.
That's what you put down.
Yeah, 2.2 acres does not seem.
It says 10.4 acres. Right here.
Not it out there.
It says 10.4 there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus or
that's-
minus 10.4.
Must have that
plus or minus.
No, I must have that. Confused because I think the whole lot is 10.4, but the
Parcel here showing the whole lot is 22.2 acres.
Correct, but the question from the board was what exists actually on this side.
So
So
just
if
if
you
you
would
would
look
look
at
at comparable in
and
size.
it's definitely not 2.2.
Yeah, that's me.
Sorry, Paul, this is pre-existing non-conforming related to before distributed.
Right, that's correct. They did not achieve special use permit for site plan approval for site in mobile homes. There was a subdivision in the historical record that indicated mobile home, but there was not a review for the mobile home part. Predated the zone.
May I just interject? There's no wetland map overlaid on top of this. So,
Sure, but for our board's review.
Yeah.
The wetland isn't necessarily a prerequisite of,
Yeah,
we're looking at numbers and sizes and specifics like that.
there are regulations to building wetlands as well as if it goes before planning board, they kind of determine if the placement is appropriate or legal. Or they're basically just saying, they're providing an area variance so that more structures could be built within this parcel. So they're not approving the placement.
I'm just gonna make it, since it's public comment, I think he said the 2.2.
State your name.
Debbie Doherty. I think he said the 2.2 is what is what the 5 new trailers are going on. That's the size, right? Is that correct?
I was actually implying that the current park, how you can see this, the current park is on 2.5 acres of the entire 10-acre lot, but I have to just verify that. It's being questioned, but it's not.
It's number games, this is like a numbers game.
It's, I was told there'd be no math. But anyway, it's not really relevant.
There's over an
to my
acre of trailers.
application. And the wetlands you're referring to are more over here, correct? That's.
well, yeah, we're not talking about it. I won't get up to show, but basically the wetlands are all wrapped around that park and is what connects me. That's our connecting.
Said you abated this property, right? Or what? But, this you over here,
That's both of those,
both of these, or both
to
of
the
these?
right, yeah, that triangle.
Excellent. I think, in my opinion, that there's a lot to digest here still for us as a board, and we only have 4 members. So, being that we only have 1 member of the public here to speak at public comment, I would like to see an extension of this public hearing. At very least, a written format, which we have done in the past for issues that are a little larger, but we can fences along neighbors and sheds and stuff like that, just so the board has time to digest. And right, we do have up to 62 days from the time we close the public hearing as the board to make a decision. We usually take our time a little bit more on requests such as this, a little more out of the ordinary. Is there any other discussion or questions?
Where's the septic?
Board members
Existing
that-
septic. Sorry,
No, it's fine. Yeah,
where's the existing septic?
There's a septic field between each pair of units
So it's scattered all through the,
scattered throughout those.
so where would these tie into, where the new ones tie in?
Yeah, we have
Get
to,
their own.
figure out exactly, working with the Department of Health, where we want to put the septic fields, whether we want to tie into the existing well or create a new separate well, things of that nature.
You do currently have one single well.
Yeah, applies at all residences.
Correct.
Small.
Water operator.
Yeah. You're under the jurisdiction of the Ulster County Health Department.
Yep. I mean, that's daily testing, monthly reports to the department, how bacteria, logical reports.
These are all very good.
What's that?
Said I know it all very well.
Yeah, so
Well, I would like to make a motion that we keep public hearing open for written submissions for 3 weeks from this date. To allow anybody that hasn't been able to, 3 weeks. I'm gonna go 3 weeks on this one. To allow any written submissions that may be sent to us. Stone Road is not a county road either, right? It's a town road. Yeah, town road. Yeah. And close the in-person section of the public hearing. I don't know.
Before you close, can I make one more comment?
Make a motion to leave the public hearing.
Generally, it's a 2-minute comment.
Okay.
Here's what, I'm gonna bend the rules for you because you're the only one present. If you just have one more before
I
we
just wanted to
close.
say that I own a lot of 4 acres, of which I'm only allowed to build one house on 4 acres. It seemed odd to me that we're gonna allow 5 trailers in less than a 4 acre plot. That's it.
Or that there's being asked.
Yes, yes,
Nothing is set in stone
yes.
on the parcel people. Okay. Excellent. So yeah, keeping the public comment section or, the written submission open for the public hearing on this. It's gonna allow for a little bit extra time, just in case anybody was caught like off guard, I know everything went out 2 weeks ahead of time, right, the letters and such. We'll give a little extra time and more time for us to digest. Obviously, we don't meet in August. So I would suggest everybody do their homework on this parcel. I had really wanted to visit it in person, but it wasn't in the cards for me this week. Aaron, you had actually
Yeah.
visited in person. Okay. So if everybody wants to get eyes on it in the next 2 months, but my motion stands that we keep the public hearing open on this matter for written submission for another 3 weeks. And then we revisit any submissions and have a in-depth discussion on our findings and research parcel and application. Seconded by Alex. All present in favor or verbal show? All present in favor? Show of hands or verbal. All present are in favor. Four votes. We're gonna leave, as you heard, the written submission open for another 2 weeks. Just gather up any more opinions and give the board a chance to really review this in its entirety before we make our decision. So, thank you very much, Rod. Thank you very much. Your name was
David.
David.
I spell it, wait, David, how do you spell your last name? Can I just spell it?
T is in tone HIERGART. I'm still going NER.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, at this point, we will move on to our next scheduled public hearing, which is for the residents at 64 Hughes Road, which is an appeal of the ZBA's determination and inspections on drainage work and driveway updating that was done at the neighboring residence. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on this? Augustine has Open the public hearing on the matter. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Karen. All present in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. All present are in favor. Okay, Glenn, this time, I know you presented with all your findings previous and reviewed files, but this is again, your time to address anybody that may be here.
Also, there
To hear
is,
your-
yeah, and there's
what
also
your
a
appeal is
public.
based on. Yeah, well, we have at least 2 emails, correct? Is there 3 now? Okay. Okay, so we'll allow him to speak, and then, nobody is physically present in the room, then we will read the 3 emails that have been submitted.
Well, there's important notice, I was here last month and, had filed the planning board for a review of, the stormwater drainage issue between my property at 64 East Road and the neighbor's property at 65 Sherman Road. I had submitted some exhibits showing some of the, issues with water running across property line and washing out, driveway cover, material on my driveway, repeated occasions. So this goes back a couple of years. The different code enforcement officers have received the claim. All finally showed up with Harold and dealt with it and looked at the situation and talked to the parties and issued a ruling, which was not in my favor. So I appealed to the ZBA to review. And last month we set a public hearing for this evening, and that's what we're doing.
Here we are.
How many years is that?
I'm gonna have to say those.
I'm sorry, how many years have you been complaining to the town?
I believe we submitted the first complaint in 2019,
Okay.
then upset. Then code enforcement officer.
And then things got all.
And then I remember the next code enforcement officer.
Pandemic, and then it's probably. I have Alan, maybe, and then there was, Tryon.
And these, Willows. So they came up and looked at it, we had a discussion. So it's an ongoing for several years.
Is there anybody present in the audience tonight that is here to speak during this public hearing regarding this issue? Let's move into, we'll read the emails that were sent to us, and then we'll allow time for questioning.
Great. Okay. Moving main concerns, I bought a home at 60 Venus Road. I am just below 64 Venus Road and share a common gravel driveway with one previously named Chrysler of 64 Venus Road. A large amount of stormwater pumps down the driveway, breaking up the road and making it costly and difficult to maintain. The problem has worsened in recent years, although I cannot pinpoint the date that it has worsened. In particular, I have an excavator repair that is common in either 2015 or 2016 without bringing in new gravel. That work held up fairly well for several years. In 2022, after the driveway was badly broken up by rainwater, we had the driveway repaired with a large amount of new gravel at considerable expense. Nevertheless, the road started to break up by the large downflows of stormwater within the first year, and now is badly damaged again. At this point, it seems I resigned myself to living with a badly damaged driveway. It was not this way when I bought the property in 2011. And I sustainably completed the house around in 2015. Spencer. So the main concern. All right, I am waiting in support of Glenn. I am writing in support of Glenn Fraser's request for the owner of 65 Sherman Way to levy the stormwater, alleviate the stormwater runoff that is being directed to the driveway of 64 Muse Road. The water is washing away, washing out the driveway, then flowing down to our property below 64 Muse Road, carrying invasive Japanese stilt grass seeds, which get deposited into our property. During heavy storms, the stormwater eventually washes out the entrance to our property as well. Along these road, numerous culverts have been installed to properly manage the storm runoff. It should be a simple matter of 65 Sherman Lane to install culverts where needed along the road to alleviate this issue. Okay. Right,
I haven't seen any.
Right. Yeah, it's okay. So to make a turn, I'm writing on behalf of the residents of the driveway off News Road. As President lowered down, I know very well what happens when the water is not carefully directed, as my house was affected by the paving of News Road years ago and required thousands of dollars of drainage work to save it. Lower down, water is coming off Glen and Spencer's driveway, pours down onto News Road into a strategically placed trench and culvert. But above, the road gets washed out, and every year it needs to be fixed. It's obvious where the water runs off to Sherman through a little bit of woods down the driveway. That incidentally also affects other neighbors' property. It would be worth taking a second look at the situation to save years of frustration, aggravation, and dollars spent on fixing the road and car suspension. Maybe a strategically placed trench and culvert at Sherman Road would be a simple one-time fix. It also may go a long way towards repairing a sour relationship between neighbors.
I also just want to mention, like I said last time, that the common road that Spencer, Gluck, and we share is actually the minor subdivision road in town, known as Vanderbilt Lane. That was established when we built our house something 20 years ago. So it actually, Gary, it serves three properties, Spencer's property, my property, and Gary, who sent the second letter, but his lot is not developed. So just another point that it's not just watching out my private driveway, but it's set like minor subdivision road as well.
Okay. Was it one of those emails just received today, or was it yesterday? I know that we were aware of two. I was aware of two of them. The last.
I think the last one, I think honestly, that one came in at like close to midnight last night. Let's check. I don't know if it would be considered today or yesterday.
Which one was the one that came in last?
So this is the third, this one.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could check my emails to be exact.
It's within,
It's within,
inside of the last few days.
Yeah.
For sure. Board members, do we have questions for the applicant regarding? I know that we questioned him a bit previously.
We got some information last time. The only thing that wasn't mentioned this time that was mentioned last time is that you all also entered into an agreement.
Yes, that's what we did. We filed that, I think, on May 24th with the county. She also mentioned that since June's meeting, we did have repairs done on I don't know. Did you get a chance to go and look at it?
I did not. I plan to go visit all these places this weekend.
So we, yeah, the road was badly washed out, and we did do repairs to it on June 17th, you know, just slightly after the last ZBA meeting. And as part of that, I had the operator drop a bucket load of material to make a berm between the two properties to mitigate. And since then, we've had torrential rain that has washed over that road. And I did put a photo of that in the Google Drive that the town has access to.
I was curious if this is something you post, but with the photos that were submitted, was there a culvert pipe that was installed that tracks the drainage off, or is it specifically from the swales that exist on the drive?
There is no culvert.
No
It's
culvert.
just a channel down the side of the driveway, parallel to the driveway. And as one of the letter writers suggested, just keeping that 3-foot pitch going around the hairpin instead of ending, heading towards our property, so it's possibly alleviate that issue and just direct the water off where it diffuses,
Thank you.
you know, on the surface and doesn't affect anything. So, you know, to me, that's a possible mitigation. It's on their property. I can't do that. I can't even, you know, what I did is the most I could do. And quite honestly,
not your problem.
it's not my responsibility to mitigate this problem that they're causing, but I'm absorbing the expense to deal. So, whatever, they're not doing that.
Do we have any contact with the actual driveway parcel?
Now that, I mean, I also sometimes.
You're talking about the property where the water originates from?
Yes,
I have an email from her from several years ago.
several years ago, prior to your,
No, after the original complaints were filed, and as Glenn put it, you know, it was never handled properly due to the, I don't know the exact word it's happening, the lack of continuity, and he had several complaints he submitted. I couldn't find any, and eventually, when the office was organized physically, I tracked down all the one. He probably was patient enough to issue 4 or 5 complaints. And then finally, when Harold Castellano was appointed stormwater management officer, the company in initial meeting with customers. However, the complaint from Glenn led to the violation of the zoning, not the stormwater permits. However, the two fell hand in hand, so it was reviewed under the auspices of both regulations. So that's how the determination was made. I will give you this if,
I was gonna say, yeah, if we can have that for our.
it's, 2021.
What was the rough date that that the work was done that you were stating that?
Can I give you a chronology?
Yeah, yes, that's
Okay,
exactly what I'm looking for.
First complaint came in, well, these are all by Mr. Kreisberg, 1/20/2021. Additional complaint came in 8/23/2021. That one has not been located, but there were notes to the effect that it had been submitted. Glenn, when I was in, gave me a complaint on 10/20/2023. And then a handwritten note, which I think was describing the complaint that Harold wrote, was on 4/24/2024. Basically, Harold sort of took some notes verbally in the complaint was over. That's 4 separate times that the complaints were issued to the office. It was really, again, it was not long after to hopefully rectify that. But in any event, the complaint alleged the zoning section 21021 excavations, and we also, as I said, reviewed it in terms of chapter 168 of this.
And, do you have anything further to say towards the board, since you are the,
Based upon the both regulations and the complaint, there was no substantiating evidence that it had videos before and after. They're probably pretty defensive. I haven't been in communication with them, your neighbors. Harold has.
But my question would be, what did the neighbors say when they were asked about this issue?
Let
And
Harold talk to them. I didn't.
okay, so, we did speak to them on the driveway when Councilman Humphries came up to look at the problem. This was brought to Howard Ward's attention, and he was, he asked if we could follow up and see, because he found the complaint, he found what I had submitted it. Just asked him to follow up, and we had a discussion with, the neighbor and myself and Councilman Humphries, and basically the neighbor said it's not our responsibility. We're not going to do anything about it. It's up to you.
Councilman Humphrey said that.
This is what the neighbor said.
Okay.
Well, to me, well, Councilman Humphries says.
Was there, was present, right?
They basically said it wasn't their problem, the problem wasn't on their property. They didn't feel they were responsible for it, which is what, when Harold spoke to me on the phone, the decision basically is what he said as well. But, you know, after speaking with them, he said it's not their problem, not my problem. Deal with it.
any additional questions from the board?
Paul, can you just clarify for the board? So the determination that you made is the only zoning determination that's before the board pertains to whether there's a violation of 21021 excavations.
And chapter 68 of the stormwater. Ultimately, and I just wanted to clarify for the board, I am a certified contractor in erosion septic control. I have been for 12 years. I'm nationally certified stormwater inspector. And I've been doing site management, including steep slope, for a lot of years. Anytime there's a heavy rain event, it seems like not just with neighbors, letters that were sent or emails, but last complaint after a heavy event, it needs that. So that said, every time there's an event, it doesn't have to be a 100-year event, 100-year storm, or a 50-year storm, or 75-year. When there's a heavy downpour, steep slope, surface patterns where the water flows constantly. Involved. I've seen on the house I have, which used to be a little bit of water problem. Now there's literally a stream running back. You know, it's not quite as steep as this. So there was no way anyone from my staff, we discussed it, like conclusively say that the conditions on the property were altered by the homeowners in an irresponsible manner that created the erosion on the Glen's Drive this year in a subdivision. There's zero. If I issue a violation notice to them, it would be irresponsible because I can't substantiate the violation. I have zero corroborating evidence to support that. He may be correct. I don't have enough evidence to support that. In fact, I have no evidence.
You don't use the evidence that I submitted, the exhibits that are available in case decisions or?
Yes. Well,
I don't know if you didn't see any of that prior.
given the, my assumption would be that given the chronological order of how things transpired, your videos from the time frame over, I'm assuming taken in the spring, late winter, maybe into winter this year. He can't corroborate those, just.
Well, at the other video, and I had 60 10-wheelers going in with gravel. There you're gonna have heavy equipment, be a video with it working there for 3 weeks. There might be some substantiation. I don't know what it looked like before. But 10-wheeler carrying 9 to 10 yards, you got 60 trucks, if you're talking. I fair about them, and the cut fill section of the law is 200 yards. But I have no mistake today. She wanted to understood.
Are there any, educated guesses as to what changed to make this happen?
I think, and I have been on the property 20 years, but I think what happened was Monica's email, which I think you got that back. She said that they reground the drive. Maintenance is required, and I think between that, given the steep slope, just natural erosion, I think it's a combination of the two. His driveway definitely is broken. There's no question. I saw it.
Well, yeah, the effects are easy to see, causes are harder.
But the neighbor's saying it's a simple solution. You put a culvert in here. You're talking about millions of gallons in a storm running off of a steep slope on the mountain. A culvert pipe it's not a simple fix. It will involve topography, hydraulics, calculations, and engineering.
I think that maybe was referencing side of the road.
This is not by no means a simple solution.
So it's the weather pattern, yeah.
I'm not saying it's a weather pattern, but every time there's a heavy storm,
Yeah,
the surface erupts, the surface of the earth changes and it flows. The direction of the flows changes.
There was a board member who was here last month who was not here this week, I believe. He had asked the question, how often does it happen? And it's unpredictable. In January this past year, it happened back-to-back storms where we had snow and a large melt off the week after. It could go 4 months without having the event that causes water to come across the driveway. So it's intermittent, but it's inevitable because of the design and this topography that's happening there. So, coming up with a solution would take knowing what the amount of water is, how often it comes, and coming up with some type of plan to mitigate it, to deal with the large amounts. It's not necessarily torrential rain. It could be steady rain overnight for 3 or 4 hours. Or it could be torrential rain for a half an hour to 45 minutes. And that channel fills up and backs up. And the water has nowhere to go but across the property line, finding path of least resistance down my driveway. Again, looking at the current design, and I don't know if you want to go through the maps or the exhibits again. There's not all the board members who were here tonight were here last time.
You should have all received,
it's pretty
all
clear.
received them ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody had a chance to read it.
Yeah.
Right, so it's pretty clear. You have a hairpin turn, mirroring another hairpin turn, one down slope from the other one. And when the water hits that hairpin, it has no place to go except across the board. We talked about it.
Is there any way to attribute recrowning? How can recrowning a driveway?
They didn't recrown the driveway. They raised it 3 feet. They brought in item four, large drainage, base. They raised the base and then they surfaced it and then they crowned it. Just, I don't blame, that's the way to do it properly, but to not consider what the potential for stormwater runoff is never, you have to consider that. You can't just do it and not consider how it's going to affect your neighbor. And that I pointed out is the exception to the common enemy rule, which says common enemy of every homeowner is stormwater runoff, and it's up to every homeowner to deal with it however they see fit. But there are exceptions to that, and that rule of the common enemy rule is for diffusion of surface water. It's not for water that's gathered, channeled in ditches, and directed towards the neighbor's property. And to the detriment of the water. And that's clearly what this instance is. And I hope I've demonstrated that the board will go that direction.
Well, my head is in the exact same place as it was with the previous public hearing, whereas we have received written submissions all the way up to in the last couple of days. Obviously, we have no members publicly present. But I would like us all, again, I have not been able to visit this parcel. As anybody else.
I'd like to go up to.
So my thought is in the same place that we leave written submission open for another 3 weeks again. And then revisit this after we've done our homework more thoroughly. And then have a thorough discussion about findings after next meeting, maybe even have more input in public.
To the applicant, just advise if you're going to submit anything additional on that time. I don't think anyone's arguing that the stormwater runoff is doing damage but the issue is, he has to, the code enforcement officer has to be able to show that there was this excavation that took place, when it was taking place, that you can't write an accusatory instrument charging someone and having them go without having dates, without having specific, and being able to make, at least, do you have any kind of?
That whole indication has to come from the 65 Sherman Road. They know what happened here, who the contractor was. I don't have all the specifics. I wish I did, but they would, you have to provide that if they wanted to.
I was hoping to have them present or.
I
understand from the timeline, this issue was happening in 2021, and since then, you know particularly when they might have done this excavation of this work that was.
Well, I would say 2018, 2019, 5 or 6 years ago.
So if there's information that you can provide or something that you can show.
Well, I mean, I think one of the people who wrote the letter, I think it was Spencer, kind of summarized it pretty well with when the dates were that we did with our driveway and how quickly we had to repeat them because there's being increasing water coming up the Sherman Road. So whereas we lived there for 20 years, 15 years, we had no issues. And we did 2 driveway repairs at 15 years. We've done 2 driveway repairs in the past 5 years because the situation changed.
Again, I don't think the town has any records or anything showing when they did a driveway.
I mean, I can submit on my end when we did repairs. I have receipts, I have invoices, rental, we rented equipment, we hired an operator, bought yards and yards.
So, but just kind of to make an analogy, so like you could provide some sort of evidence that your house was robbed, but if you're accusing somebody of like robbing your house, you need to be able to show how, something.
Isn't that what I showed with the maps and the charts and the photos?
What,
and
you
videos?
need to see the changes they made, not that the water is just flowing off.
So I'd have to have pictures and photographs of pre-existing
there
conditions
needs
on their
to be-
property?
Well, evidence
mean-
to show, because it's not just that there's water flowing from another property onto yours causing damage, it's that they caused it through excavation. That's what the statute prohibits, and
I
that's
guess
right.
it's a circumstantial case, because before they did their repairs, no water coming across. After they did their repairs, water
But
coming
can you
across.
show anything that they actually, like what repairs they did, when they did that, how they did that?
I didn't know.
Most specifically dates.
I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't anticipate.
But any additional information you can provide would definitely help the board.
I would, well, I don't know to provide as much as evidence as I can. I will go further out of my way to provide any other additional evidence I can fill out. That's all I got. That's all. And quite honestly, I thought we were already there with that. I had already provided and that had been reviewed, and now it's getting kicked down till at least September is what I'm hearing, because you're not meeting next month. It's not a resolution. It's just more kind of.
Well, anytime we have, an appeal of a determination, we take our time and we have to do thorough homework to investigate everything.
Also, I
So
want to say,
unfortunately, the fact that it's getting passed down to September is just because we don't meet in August. Otherwise, we'd certainly be dealing with this.
and honestly,
And we also want to give thorough time for more evidence to be presented to us. This is all, and
again, these complaints have been around for a long time, and there's been plenty of time for people.
for us, it's been around, for our board, which
All I want,
operates independently.
to wrap it up, I just want to, everybody, I know that this is all volunteer. And I want to thank you for your time and effort, because you guys don't get anything for coming to do this. It's a commitment, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate that thought, sir. But we have to take this through the process. We have
I
to take,
understand that, I appreciate that. I'm good following the process.
the right.
I would appreciate if you do plan to come up and visit the property, that we get a heads up, and you know what we're gonna do there.
Certainly,
Is it okay
we
if I-
definitely have his contact information.
Yeah, is it okay if I share it with the other board, yourself on that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can't necessarily all be there at the same time because of rules.
I think that everyone's schedule is a little crazy.
Also, we're legally bound by not being there all at the same time.
Oh,
Because if we have quorum,
Yeah, quorum, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, really, quorum.
I see what you're saying.
And we're all there at the same time.
The public meeting.
Yeah, everything has to happen in the context of the opening and closing of this meeting, or our discussion, so. If we were to have a discussion there and this was more present, then we could share it essentially, but we just won't show. Well, with all that being said, I make the motion that we keep this public hearing open for written submission for another 3 weeks. And revisit this at our September meeting.
I have a question. Jurisdiction. Is this like based on a permit or anything, or?
As far as I understand, there's
There's
no
no complaint, no
permits,
complaint
no-
issue to.
There were no permits associated with any work that the people by Sherman did on this project.
Was there any required?
If there's a threshold of moving earth, yes, because there's a cut and fill law. However, based on the timeline, I think if they did the work in 2018, that law didn't exist, so probably would have been required. My suspicion is, given that the property is remote and it's gated, like to take, but my suspicion is to have this all over the state, these kind of isolated areas. Sometimes they do things that they don't get the permits. It's very common, and I can't trespass. So, like I say, Glenn may have validity to his complaint. There's not enough substance for me to bring a violation against.
So this is the proper format.
It is, yes.
Yeah. And we have a motion on.
Can I make one last comment before we close here?
We're already go for it.
That's not close, yeah.
And it's regarding the $650 check that I wrote. That Secretary Warren said would be cashed immediately, but I know it has not been cashed, right?
I've submitted it to the.
Clerk's office.
So it will be cashed.
It
If it has not been cashed.
I will make a note and follow up with Tracy.
No, I mean, it's okay if you don't cash it with me, because I found it quite outrageous that it costs $650 to have this review. It seems to me an issue of
Board finds it outrageous. Yeah, those prices.
I'm sorry.
I said
That's
the
a
entire
discussion.
board finds it outrageous.
Yeah,
That's-
well, and, you know,
It was
there's
never
some
cleared by
comment
us.
that this fee structure was already in place from the prior administration. It actually goes back to the Bellows administration, I believe, at least.
This changed 2 years ago.
And they raised it to $650.
It was, they raised it 500% or something like that.
Okay, well, again.
I remember the day it just got pushed over onto my desk.
They may have done that, but it's this board that's doing it to me now. That requires me to pay that. And I
This
have.
board goes by what the town board was
Okay.
previously established.
Their
Our
obligation.
board has
So
nothing.
I raised the question whether or not the, board has the power to, on a case-by-case basis, make an exception or waive that fee. And again, I think it's important to realize I did not apply for a plan approval, no development, nothing to do with getting an approval for a process involving.
I highly recommend you send an email to the town board regarding that. To my understanding, they will be probably reassessing a lot of fees. And I think that this board's probably, in agreement with you.
Sounds good?
I know the chairman. These fee changes never even got passed by her.
All right.
I don't know if they have to be, but that would have.
So you're open to motion.
I do the motion. There is a motion on the floor. And to reiterate, it is to leave the, public hearing open for written submissions for another 3 weeks. Close at 3 weeks from this date. We don't have that specific date in front of me at this time. So I'm assuming it's put that in July.
Want to, that would be August 1st.
August 1st. Commission closing, and then we will revisit. Hopefully everybody will have a chance to visit the parcel. Lots of contact information will be given to us, should anybody want to reach out to them before we visit. And we'll have a fair discussion on the matter at the September meeting. That is a motion seconded by Alex. All present in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. All present in favor, opposed.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I just want to let you know that I.
Okay, so moving on, new business. We're supposed to be at 7.
Oh, wait.
I'm still have a little bit of questions as to what the actual applications for. So you've already been before the Hurley Preservation Committee?
Not before, but
Or they made a determination deny, or
Yes.
they didn't actually, and that's just a determination, correct, Paul?
Yeah, the process is rather informal on the scale of this. So they didn't, actually, I think my understanding is, was discussed between the historian, Jim Decker, and Frank. And Frank ultimately sent me the email. I had actually, so I actually issued the permit for this. So you feel it's not my determination, it's really the start, first basic commission's determinations. That's a good point. I'm glad you clarified.
This,
I sent a referral letter simply because I'm the municipal code officer and you start right from it. What happened was, and I'll just clarify this, listen, you were here, I think, for this application, Tim. The Katie and Alex want to put solar array on Main Street. Star Commission said you can't put it on the roadside. To not have it on the roadside doesn't meet her energy needs. And hence, that I issued a permit, but they no longer want to proceed as the original permit came in because of the Preservation Commission's decision. Then refer to you and see if they can get relief from that decision. Start preservation.
Do we have anything from the Historic Preservation Committee on what their, that you can turn in order discussion?
You're great to use for that.
Because I did see the images.
Yeah, it's like I say, Josh, was handled quite
Informally, and you're still not looking for, you're not looking for panels on the very front of the.
No,
Because the stuff that you submitted is all, the
yeah,
plans are all on the sides, right?
right, the only roof that you'll see from the side, there's like five
you did that.
open, so you'll be able to see that angle from the street. The other roof is deleted. It's not on the front of the houses, it's on the side. I have a picture if you guys want to see the roof that up. So it's that right side that you can see from
Yep.
this side.
So this would be the road, correct? This is Main Street right out here.
Yep.
This is your front entryway.
Yep.
This is the top tier, the ridge of the roof.
Yeah.
And what the HTC is saying is they don't want to see these panels specifically right here.
Probably.
Because here's Main Street and then you've got a bit of
Open
side
side
yard
yard.
right here. And if you were to walk the sidewalk along here, you can visibly from the sidewalk see
Yeah.
those panels specifically.
Can I just pick a picture?
Yep, this, we may have, I think we may have.
But just, yeah, I just had it.
Yeah, we have it.
I got everything for you.
Okay.
Our attorney has disappeared, but I would love to hear his input on this because I think that, I believe he has experience for you.
So it would be that side
Yes,
right
here,
there.
yep, right there. So obviously this picture's taken from the sidewalk and Main Street's right over here.
What's the,
And you can look up and see some panels right there.
what is the power of the?
Despite the fact that if you go right around the corner there, the new Novo seat shed offices have panels all over.
What's the movement?
That roof shingle is, it has asphalt shingle on that roof. There's cedar shingles only on the front of the house.
That is the exact question.
I respect trade value and short preservation. I do, I wanted to show you, have an award. My shutters. And for building my garage to their specs. But in this case, I also brought my electricity bill from the memorials for $800. So, my energy keeps increasing and I have a combination of electricity and propane. We also have like $600 propane bills in the winter, so it's pretty costly, and there's a lot of other things I would like to do, like a lot of those windows have broken panels. And I don't want to replace the windows because they're too beautiful, so I would like to have them rebuilt. But that's like $2,000 a window, so, you know, if I could mitigate my electricity costs a little bit, I could do another work on the house, then I think the historic preservation would be good for that.
Years for the house?
But
What years for the house?
1680, but Jim Decker would disagree with that. He would probably say early 1700s.
What, just only because I don't know, when you're dealing with the HPC, is the electrical bill and the costs of utilities tied to the fact that, in most cases, there's nothing you can do to make the house more energy efficient without going against their rules?
Well, there are some things we're doing to make it more energy efficient. We run Green Mountain Energy, which is a wind. We were buying our electricity from a wind company. We did stop that, so that lowered the bills a little bit. We're also going to go our propane from.
Going to a co-op with.
Yeah.
But is there things that you can't do to that house that most people would be able to, that would in return lower your utility bills through energy efficiency?
That is true. I could put in new windows. I could do a lot of stuff. I have to get their approval for everything. I mean, to be fair, I don't want to put in new windows. I want to rebuild them and make them, you know, like the house. But You know, I can't, basically, anything that you see from the street, they have a say in. So,
What was Jim's thought on these? I guess it was unanimous.
it was unanimous. Jim's a really good friend, and I love him. He just has a good friend. He also just has a good stove in his house, so.
Yeah, I've been to Jim's house.
Yeah, so we just have good breaking ideas of how to do that.
Why is your
I
electric
wish
bill
they
so
didn't
high?
have to pay changes in the house because that's such a expensive thing, you
Why is your electric bill so high?
know. My father,
Yeah, it's my fault.
when our side, so our house is in two sections. That main house is where Alex and I live, and then the post office, with the old post office addition, my parents renovated, and they put in a mini split. And I love my father, and our deal was I would pay all the electricity bills because they renovated the apartment. So I pay, electricity for the whole house, so. That
Did
is,
your parents live in the post office part of the house?
yeah, my dad is.
Okay, good.
So you can't see that from the picture, but that's the other side. Originally, they wanted to put panels on the front of the post office, but we said, no, because we thought that would look ugly. We thought that the back side was, a better idea, so. Unfortunately, without using the sunny side of the roof, the project is pretty afoot because the other side is shadier, and I guess with this tax rebates involved because people use better, you have to have a threshold of electricity that the panels will make, or you don't get the rebate.
Yeah.
So if I don't have the sunny side of the roof, then the shady side will get me enough power. And there's a lot of different angled roofs back there, but we have large black walnuts in the backyard. So I guess the solar company didn't think they would generate enough power throughout the day. So that roof is key for the project.
Remember old Don Kent, every year in the fall, pushing the wheelbarrow of all the black walnuts out to the side of the road and put a sign out that said free walnut.
Is it real? That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I problem up the fence.
They're just making more and more.
They're dangerous. One of us is gonna get beaten. Please, I don't know.
Well, well, we think they have a completely valid application. Sent before us, and where our report falls and actually the determination, I'm not sure. This is where the attorney answers some questions for the board. This is still their turnout. I mean, they seem like you want, is he still talking to Glenn? You saw that Glenn, but well, I'll just talk till.
It's a lot.
Just-
Yeah. I mean, they're legitimately making but it's not like they're trying to just modernize that, blow off entire like historic preservation committee's ideals or anything. Obviously, they're not trying to put right on the front of the roof or even on the post office side. You're trying to work, but in this day and age, you know, with the rising costs of everything and the way, especially New York State's going, green energy, I don't see why there should be some kind of leeway here and review. Welcome back, Mr. Attorney. Historic preservation. You have some experience. What is the legality of their opinions?
Well, basically, when any kind of external changes on the property, you get a certificate of appropriateness under our code. They make recommendations pertaining to the certificate of appropriateness, but the actual planning board is the plan.
So regarding that letter, let's say recommendation.
But what it is, so
Yeah,
yeah,
we missed it, brother. What is it there?
They don't, well, they're
Well,
they're
they're
on one side, back. You can see it from the side.
They don't want to see the panels right there. You're very familiar.
I am.
Yeah. They don't want to see any panels on this side of the roof right here. They're not putting it on the front. They're not putting it on the post office front side. They want to put them on these two sides, and that's going to be, if they don't get the panels right here, the solar makes absolutely no sense. generous.
And you guys haven't applied for a certificate of appropriateness, or they said, see if you can get the variance first?
I don't understand. I thought they said no. It's just.
Done very informal. This is based on literary determination, and Paul's not saying.
Well, there's some question about that language too, because the COA comes from planning board, but this is not a planning board.
So the planning board is the one that will issue the COA.
They should see it, the certificate of appropriateness, but as I said, there's nothing in here that, prefers that to the planning board for building permit if they came to
This isn't any kind of determination, it's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation, yeah. But I'm, based on the way I read the language, really, if it says, it has to be approved by the HPC, I'm not, and they have a recommendation, I'm not gonna go against it, not gonna start this with.
I'm just very leery of accepting the application.
So what was submitted by the applicants for the
Basically, just the
permit?
for the building permit.
but did they,
What else? I'm sorry, what do you want?
so they should, there's a application for a certificate of appropriateness. Any kind of external changes in the historic district.
That's dealt with, right?
And that's dealt with through the plan. So the planning board can't make a decision until after they've gotten a recommendation from the historic preservation committee.
Does that mean the letter doesn't have there?
Well, that means that, part of an application for the certificate of appropriateness, that is to go to the planning board, and this is their recommendation. They should be sending something to the planning board saying that we don't, what's proposed, we're not recommending. And then the planning board
So the
makes the
planning
actual
board does,
determination.
and if the planning board says we agree with them entirely, what is their course?
So where does that referral originate, with the ZBA or with my office?
So basically at this point, they've submitted, the application for building permit. In order to make any kind of exterior changes required, for the certificate of appropriateness to be issued.
Have you submitted anything to the planning board yet? Or it was just literally done just through speaking with Jim?
No, the Castleman Solar did the solar permit to town of Hurley. The historical board said no, they wrote that letter and Paul saw it, so Paul just issued the sign you couldn't see. And then we found out when Castleman Solar told us that we only got half the permit, and then I came down here and talked to Paul directly with you guys, so that is correct.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at 239D2. Upon buying, the planning board be notified and transmit to the planning board the application supporting plans and documents, and the planning board shall consider it and shall issue, and if it shall approve such plans, issue a certificate of approval.
It's 21039.
21039D. So that's any application for a building permit for exterior changes. And then once the planning board makes a decision, they can appeal to the ZBA.
Okay, so now I missed it. I went directly to the historic preservation director and said, it has to go to that HBC, and that was my referral, not to planning. So there's some conflict there.
So the planning board said no, then.
So what's gonna happen this evening is right now, what I'm thinking is that we're denying your application and we're refunding you.
Well, why not? We're not denying, you're withdrawing the application
Okay.
because it's not right, and basically you'll be refunded the application fee. And then the plans will be submitted to the planning board. I'm sure this will be submitted to the planning board as well.
Is that the
the
best way to
planning
do it?
board
They
will-
withdraw it as opposed to us just saying, we're not accepting the application because I've only done this on one other circumstance. And I just said,
Yeah.
we're not accepting the application because we don't feel it's,
Yeah.
justified. And we want to give, here's your money back, or we're not even going through the process.
Yeah, because it's not right to be heard.
That's the way I did it the one last time, as opposed to them drawing it, even though they just came and they sat there, and listened to us, blah, 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 to everybody else.
I like the lot. Oh, okay.
It's from there. I'd like to tell myself that, that's what gets me there.
So when you have time, because they're not meeting at all, but I have to go through both chapters and see what this says, what type of review. It's just a certificate of appropriateness because, it's a site plan review. They're gonna point to fair site. Even though there's no site amendment. So let me review it. I'll see what's applicable. I'll put it there.
So it goes to the planning, we send it to the planning board, then if they say no, I could go back to you
And,
guys.
that puts you right back to school.
Well, I'm learning. I appreciate your time, thank you.
And the other thing you might want to take into consideration before you go to planning board, if there's any, I don't know, obviously you need sunlight for the solar panels to work, but think about, if there's any possibility of some sort of screening, trees, other things that may make it so that it's not visible from the street.
That would be a
Those are
backup
things that
plan.
usually are considered by planning
And
boards.
you live on my street, what do you think would be worse? The solar panels or a giant tree line around the track? I mean, I feel like
This is where
this
things
is,
get silly,
this
it's
is
like,
like less.
Yeah, I wanted to
let's
apply
make
for
this
solar
source
for a
cover
while,
this.
and the only thing I could even think is having they possibly let me put it in my yard. I don't know, but it's,
If you're wondering how I can afford the solar, they have these great solar loan programs, so it's like $85 a month for what ends up being a $12,000 system, so it's like, it's really good to live for that. I think it's really.
and with the prices just going up.
if you want to wait around for them to come a couple minutes, I definitely.
All right, so, with all of this discussion that we've had, my motion that I'm going to make is to deny the application based off the fact that they're
Not accepting the application.
not deny it, I guess, not accept the application based on that the peer review is not for our board at this time. We need, there has to be other processes to seek, and that the applicant is reinstated the funds that they were submitted to be for this. Is that flat? Make sure you got something like that.
Okay, well, thanks for.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Karen. All present in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. Aye. All present are in favor, none opposed. You will be getting your money back at some point, and then you'll be spending more money.
I think I'll be paying it back.
Congrats on the award.
Thank you.
What's inside?
Town of Hurley Preservation Award, Katie Graves, Alexander Furman, and grateful appreciation and recognition of your commitment to preservation.
Continue dedication.
Thank you, and sorry. I will.
Okay, so that ends our new business. We've covered the minutes already. We've covered the correspondence.
I just want
Other business, review the candidates. Everybody have a chance to look through it?
Review what?
The cannabis law, you were not here for the last meeting. So the town is working on a new cannabis law, which doesn't really even exist in the town, and it just basically establishes, where essentially dispensaries can be established, gives areas, rules and regulations for all thus that aforementioned things. And they passed it off to the planning board and to us just for any review or commentary. We did receive it brand new at the last meeting. There's a link in it to the minutes. How quickly this needs to be approved, I'm not sure. I know that the town board kind of got a little fire under their pants to do this because dispensary application came in. So of course, that's when it's time to deal with it. Just so I breezed through and everything seemed like there was nothing that I saw that I necessarily had any suspects with.
Where can I get that?
It's on 2 minutes now, and I'll show you the Google Docs. This thing's on, if you go on the agenda that I sent out, do you see these blue?
I didn't get the agenda.
You get the agenda.
Oh, so she sent me an email and said, click here to view agenda. And she kind of blue click on it. And then that brings it to the agenda, and then all the other links are to whatever is mentioned in the agenda.
So what's actually, what's the signature?
Sorry.
Anything that
It is that are highly regulated through your state and council locations. I agree with it.
yeah, but each town can, there was an opt-in back in the day of whether towns wanted to opt into what New York State was or opt out of what New York State was, I believe. Hurley chose to opt in. And so then you get like, their pre-statutory regulations, but then the town can go up beyond change, just like anything in New York State. There's state regulations, but out of Hurley, they have things written in and stuff.
I would imagine only.
I'm sure there's some things that you can change, I'm sure, but there's like little minor things where there's like, just like we theoretically shouldn't exist as a 7-member board. Here we are.
I think, obviously, since there's just a precedent, we shouldn't allow dispensary in certain districts.
Unless it's not you visible spacers. I heard the George Washington group had this,
No, I don't know why that one's in.
so why it should be allowed.
Sometimes it's weird.
The tavern on Main Street.
It's hard.
Sorry.
There's a myth on
Doesn't look like a
the
cube.
tavern wouldn't be allowed now.
Doesn't look like a cube.
But yet in the system.
Historic precedent.
Members of the board present, did you have any commentary or review of the cannabis law or?
I mean, like I said, it's already very specific at a state level.
Nothing that I,
And all jokes aside,
and this isn't anything that we have to vote on or anything, it's just comment, it's like to you. Is there anything you want to change? Is there any suggestions or edits?
I didn't see any suggestions.
That our liaison maybe chime in here a little bit.
I think the specifics that we didn't around like some churches and things like that. And
And
especially
the historic district.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what the original was, so I
Right.
just know what was handed to us. Right. So I don't really have any changes on it.
And by the way, we did not get there's a rumor that somebody's going to come forward with this country. We did not get the question.
I
Yeah.
guess I'm just on both ears.
It's hearsay.
Well, good. That gives us a chance. Why do that?
Yeah. And you gotta sit beside your object.
That's what you're doing for your birthday. Well, have town board members here, how important is it that we give you any kind of feedback at
I
this
think we
meeting?
would
Obviously,
agree.
we're not meeting till September again, but I don't personally have any changes.
We would appreciate feedback, for sure.
The thing that came to the top of mind, the thing you said already addressed, square district schools. Yeah, obviously, if somebody was to come across with an application, it would be traffic and the other things that go with it, but as far as regulation wise.
do we need to have if any board members have any suggestions? Do we have to address them during our open meeting, or can they just be submitted after the next board? That's
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it doesn't have
I'd
to be
like to look
stated
it
at
over a little
the,
bit closer. I perused it, but it takes time to read.
you gotta digest, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to read it again a little bit, more.
We're doing the same thing, so.
All right, well, then I would just suggest to board members present this evening that we all kind of take, read it, go to sleep and think about it, read it again, when you wake up, wait another few weeks, yeah. Maybe check what condition your condition is in, and then read it again. And, obviously, because we're not meeting till September again, if you have any concerns or you find anything, that you could just, reach out to Pride. Deb is our best contact person, as our liaison of our board. So, if you don't have her contact information, you can reach out to me or Samantha. But this obviously isn't something that we have to discuss thoroughly at our, open meeting at this point, so.
So the email.
Suggestions.
The training, like, September.
Obviously, if there's something you guys want to bounce off, or something, fine too, but I trust everybody in schools. Thought process. Okay, so we covered that, and then moving down, do we have a Stephanie Michelle Whitten? Welcome, Stephanie. We've received your resume. It's fantastic. Thank you for coming this evening to sit here and be a part of it. I understand you still are interested, obviously, Lord President. Okay, excellent. So you kind of basically heard what we did here this evening. You probably had a nice little roundabout version of the little basics of everything. I'll give you this opportunity just to state, why you're interested in being on the ZBA. We are looking for something. I think we all thought this would probably be a good fit. I want to proceed first.
So, originally I'm from California and I moved here in 1986. I was an attorney in California and San Francisco. I took the bar when I came here and I started practicing. I was with St. John Associates. We represented Ulster Savings Bank. I was a bank attorney for 15 years. And I handled all of the real estate litigation for the bank and the transaction for the bank. And then in 2000, the firm dissolved and I went out on my own, and my practice has been centered around real estate transactions, but I developed a reputation for fixing title problems. So any real estate problems, most people don't have patience to unravel them. And so for the last 20, 25 years, that has been a big portion of what I've done. I closed my practice for 14 months and was a law clerk for Judge Graff. And at the end of March, I left, and so I'm back in front of the practice again. My husband retired in 2015. He had a very, very busy military career for 32 years, and he lived all over the world. And when he finally retired, this is the first place that he was settled into the community. And it was really super important to him that he contributed to the community. So he became a part of the planning board, the chairman for a period of time.
He was on the ZBA.
Yes, starting on the ZBA, and then he was on the planning board. He's still on the planning board, and he takes it super seriously. And it's been very interesting to me, just to see a whole different side of real estate. Because to me, everything you're talking about is real. But it's just it's a really different side. And while I was a law clerk, we had a lot of Article 78s, and that was really fascinating. When I went to law school, my focus was on real estate. I come from a family of lawyers, and my grandfather had a huge, fantastic law firm in San Francisco. So I was raised around that, and I love real estate. It's just interesting to me. It's like my husband and I, parents, my grandparents, we're all puzzles people. We do puzzles all the time, and to me, all of this is like puzzles and working out puzzles. And I think I was kind of a super workaholic, so I never had time to contribute, volunteer, and now I do. And so it's fun.
Excellent. Well, I think given your background, it would certainly be a good asset to the board and probably be able to look at things from perhaps a perspective from your work and your experience that may not be at the forefront of other members of the boards. You know, I think I would have called us a diverse board because we all bring different aspects to the table. I think we'd be a great puzzle piece to contribute. Do any other members of the board have any questions for her? So I think that we'll probably be making a recommendation to the town board that they review as member, as our 7th member. I think we'll be able to be so, as long as you're still on board.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to just mention is Mike, ran into Mike at the transfer station. He told my husband that if anything is voted on by the planning board that ends up here. And
Well, there would be, yes.
Yeah, well, basically, he would have, like, let's say, the most recent thing was the planning board was actually the applicant before the zoning board, because they were appealing a determination of the code enforcement officer. So in that case, he's a member of that board, they're the applicant, you would recuse from any discussion with their votes.
Is that like the fact thing, situation? Is that the?
Was it? Yeah. Yeah. So if there's anything that, you know, where the planning board is an applicant, they'll definitely be able to advise. Other than that,
Those are also extremely rare situations.
yeah, because I'm trying to understand, planning board is an applicant.
yes, they were
Extremely rare situations.
yes, they're appealing a determination. They disagree with it.
Oh,
So
okay.
the code enforcement officer,
Okay.
when they make a determination
Okay.
and somebody disagrees with it, or an entity
Okay.
such as the planning board,
Okay,
then,
they are applying for.
yeah, they're saying, hey,
Okay.
we disagree with this determination, ZBA.
Okay. Okay.
ZBA has basically.
But if so,
Experienced
if,
that once in like 7 years.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen often, but
okay, so it's not that if somebody, like, for instance, these people that,
yeah,
you know, if they go before the planning board and the planning board denies, and then it gets referred there, that I can't sit on it.
well, if the planning board says so, yeah.
Because that's.
Planning board, that has no-
That would be a rare occurrence as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
any decision, basically, but if the planning board denies a site plan, it's not going to come before the ZBA, it's just straight part of it, so that'd be,
Oh,
you know, or,
okay,
you know,
okay.
and there's tons of applications where, you know, the planning board refers something to the ZBA for a variance or something, and it doesn't mean just an application before both that there there's any inherent conflict.
Okay.
Only conflict where you
Okay.
accused is if the planning
Board
board
itself.
is.
Okay, yeah, that's, you know, my husband's not a lawyer, and so sometimes when he communicates to me, like, this isn't making sense, but okay, thank you. So, that, because I. the way
It would be the
he
same as if
explained
you,
this-
somebody was an applicant before us and say it was your best friend or something, and,
Yeah.
you know, and you're like, oh, well, there's a
Yeah.
relationship here, you know,
Right,
and this would be in the same context, whereas your husband is sitting as a alternative at this point.
but no.
No, he's on,
Yeah.
okay, he's on, cool. So, yeah, just because, like,
Okay,
your husband would be technically part of the
yeah,
applicant in
yeah,
that
okay,
process.
that's, because.
Like I
the way-
said, I don't even think you're ever gonna make.
Right, the way he explained it, it seemed like I could never vote, it would just, you know, so now, okay, I get it, it's fine, it's good.
It's not, we had this discussion beforehand before we
Okay.
considered you, and I deemed it that. And,
Okay,
issue.
okay, but, yeah, but I actually look forward to this, I like, new challenges. One issue for me is boredom, and I get bored easily, and so I welcome things that wake up.
Turn different gears. Yep. Excellent. Well, we'll never be disappointed. in that aspect.
I've already learned tonight 3 separate things that were, you know, because this also helps me with clients. You know,
Because now you'll get a whole nother aspect of thinking about things that you were.
yes, yes.
So do we have to make a motion to recommend here to the town board?
Do that because they're to act as the board. Yes, sir.
Anybody like to think about it? What is that?
Still here?
And I will second that motion. All present in favor, verbal order. All present in favor of this. No, what the second name, any other neighbors?
No, I would say if you can draft it out as soon as possible, then at the next town board meeting, they can.
So the town needs to do it, and then I would, your next meeting.
Not till September, correct? I think it's September.
They can call a meeting ahead of time to give notice, but that's right now, the next schedule.
And then is it?
Yeah. Second Thursday of every month. Except for like, that's the big X. Or big C.
And it's always separate.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It's a pleasure to meet all of you.
I have your email.
You should, yeah, you got that first.
Yeah, we got everything.
Any further items that, any members of the board like to set that course before we?
Yes.
Good night.
Thank you.
I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry. I haven't seen my boss when it was-
Yes.
I think she was waiting till tonight for.
I actually heard a lot this at long point.
Yes.
It's just a very honest. I wouldn't recognize that. I haven't seen her so long.
Oh, Sure, now your board may not have-
Exactly the same as I would for you.
They want everything. So, yeah, just an extra-
Right.
Mine is- I think we're so language. Absolutely. Our names and as a picture on it. Mine, I have like this giant beard. On your list.
Like a town ID almost, right?
It might be, but definitely.
And that's only especially for like site visits, and I still have never used one yet, because I created that in their property.
I want to talk, I know the town board is trying to cut unnecessary expenses.
I
may
want
to
to, we really didn't look at this
area.
I never, I'm not aware of any planning boards, none that work with their zoning CBAs that they have a whole lot.
Skip on that side. That's what she told us.
You know, I told you also, kind of like, we go to the properties.
You get permission, like, don't just go to. Property with them. Like, you talk to applicant, or get labor.
Actually, I think Debbie told me the opposite.
I was told.
She said that you
Yes, we
have
were always
right
told we, as long as there's an application before us.
Just driveway.
They're also all eliminated.
Like when I went to visit the trailer park, I did,
We could take the town like.
when I went to visit
I
his
know people
property,
just
just
go
drove up.
walking and drive around and stuff like that. But usually if you're gonna go on some private property and stuff, I guess also.
Yes.
There's limitations.
Right.
But, if you do go to somebody's property and tell you to get off, you can't.
You can't do like ice.
You're under arrest.
Yeah, open up.
I also.
And I definitely recommend if you go to a property and there's time to stay there, as like, there might be not go.
I also have a question. Are two people from the board able to visit the property?
As
at
long
the
as
same
there's
time?
not a quorum.
So as long as
Or
it's
you're
not
less.
four.
You're less.
Okay.
And, you know, with others, or it's just a scene where, you know, for the property owner, they also necessarily, you know, they grab it, you can, you know, all show up, have you sit in the driveway and talk or whatever, other people go look, they leave, and you can, you know.
And generally, even if you go with multiple people, and even if it's less than a hour, you just refrain from like having discussions, you know. You want to have those discussions here, you know, in an open meeting format, so it's recorded and it's on the minutes, so everybody can feel. You just go, you'll look, you can ask questions, but you don't, like, what's,
They close it.
right, couldn't, you know, try to introduce each other.
So the,
Get some, no nudity is
yeah, actually, give us.
adjourn the meeting, Alex.
Any questions up with the training? Popping up and don't even talk about it.
Yeah, do those trainings.
These mandatory
If you
things?
were, you have to have 4 hours a year.
I would just start.
All right, thanks for your patience.
No.
Yeah, there's basic
Thank
ones
you.
which are kind of hard to
Good
find,
night, thank
but yeah,
you.
the basic ones are the best. At the end of the year, there's always what they call last 4-hour training, which like happens on Saturday. Because I'm sure there's lots of people out there all over the state that don't do any training at all, and they're like, it's December, last week of December, everybody get your last ditch 4 hours in.
Well, this is the first
But
time
you should
hearing.
not depend on that.
So we can do this anytime because it's
It's
self
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, just do it at home.
And there's gonna be sending more self.
I'll do that soon.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that, if you find something and it's not necessarily, but it's related to this, but it's not necessarily, you know, well, like there's like a form that could be filled. And we would basically say that it's access to
Okay.
Same format program.
Okay.
It's not necessarily-
I'm sure that makes sense, fantastic. I'm sure.
No, it does.
Relief and that stuff.
They can use empty syllables. And I don't know if it's because they convince themselves.
And then we have the, training next week, the harassment day.
Yeah, July 6th.
Yeah, Tuesday.
There's, it's different for different
So
people.
when I moved to slab, it's only 0% because I think.
Well, we have, Alex, can you make your motion to adjourn?
Yeah, make a motion to adjourn.
I would second that motion. All present in favor, verbal aye or show of hands. Motion to adjourn is accepted and approved by all. None opposed.